Greetings, golfers. Welcome to episode 1 of the Sunday Sandbagger. We played around a little bit last week and introduced a pilot episode. We're going to continue to refine this, make sure that we're hitting our stride for all the loyal fans out there. But one thing you can bet on that we're going to talk every week is fantasy golf. We'll go farther than that. We'll talk golf betting, and we'll also hit on the storylines that matter in the sport of golf. I'm your host, Sports Guy Ty. I'm joined by my fellow comrade in the Seersucker Jacket Club, Roy Tin Cup McAvoy. Hello, sir.
Hello there, Sports Guy Ty. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Shallow, it's a pleasure as always.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
And
you look warm in those jackets. I'm still a little cold here in Michigan without mine, so got to work quickly to climb that leaderboard for one.
And that voice that you're hearing on the podcast and that beautiful face that you're seeing on the YouTube channel is our third co-host, Shallow Callow. Gentlemen, let's start this off right. Podcast sauce. What are we drinking, Shallow Callow? What's fueling the creative genius tonight?
So as many of you know, this is the Hop Slam. This is a beer from Bell's. It comes out once a year, double IPA, fantastic local Michigan brew.
Mm-hmm. Always representing the Wolverine State. Tin Cup, what you got?
Want to, keep it classic. So I continued with the old fashioned, but this time it's a Woodford Blood Orange Ginger old fashioned.
And the bitters this time?
It is a ginger bitters. I don't know the name of the company.
Well done.
Does it taste better through your ginger beard?
It does.
Okay. Just curious.
He's good at coordinating. All right. Well, I'm back on the wine tip this week. I've got a Trevento Malbec from Argentina. Had a nice little steak dinner tonight with the wife and the kid, and figured I'd bust out the Malbec this week.
Ah, excellent. What kind of steak did you have?
I went with the ribeye. The wife is a fan of. Oh yeah, absolutely. My wife is a fan of the sirloin, so she got her special. Got the ribeye. A little cold to be grilling out there, but a nice evening.
Yeah. Well, next gift, me and Tin Cup over here. I'll get you a nice cast iron so you can cook in your stove during the cold winter months of Michigan.
Oh, come on! You know that right now with a 6 week old, the stove is completely reserved for boiling water for bottles.
Hey.
But that's why the cast iron's so great. You can put it in the oven.
Yeah,
that's true. I could have gone with the oven tonight.
Oh.
All right, let's before we jump into the agenda, did anybody do anything golf related the last week? Shallow Callow, you hinted that you might hit up the simulator. Anything along those lines?
So I did not make it, but my uncle came over to borrow my travel golf bag because he's going to Disney World and he wants to golf when he's down there. So does that count? Lending my golf bag to a travel golf bag to a fellow comrade in need. I would say so.
You're paying.
I was just working on my.
We can dig that.
Sorry, I was just working on my strokes.
Got it.
All right, we'll leave that one for the audio only, hopefully. About the only thing that I did related to golf this week was watch golf, but I was excited that we had live tournament golf back for the Century Tournament of Champions. We're going to get into that a little bit later. We'll recap the Century Tournament of Champions, both from a fantasy perspective as well from reality. We'll preview the Sony Open. We'll introduce a new segment called Right Click Print Money, where we give you our best bets. We're going to talk a little bit about our favorite golf course that each of us had ever played. And then we're going to end with another new segment, What's on Your Card this week. But before we jump into it, it got me thinking, as I was thinking about, what we were doing this week related to golf, what's the latest you've ever played in a season or the earliest you've ever played in the season? Because we're in Michigan right now and it's cold. There's no snow on the ground, but I'm curious, what's the latest or the earliest you've ever played?
Does this include international golf?
It can.
Well, then that's an easy one to answer. I played in Vietnam in late December. with you, and
About 100 degrees.
100 degrees. What was the other question?
That's it. What was the latest or the earliest you ever played golf? I was thinking more in Michigan, but that's a good one too.
So this year actually in Michigan, I played. I want to say on the last weekend in November, and it was actually like 55 degrees, 50 degrees out. Um, it was the afternoon of the Michigan Penn State game, and Penn State was pummeling a terrible Michigan football team. And I said, enough's enough. It's 1 o'clock. I'm going to go play a round of golf. And so I did. And in Michigan, that's probably the latest I've ever played. But I thought about going this past week. I definitely did because there was no snow on the ground.
Michigan's an underrated golf state in general, and when we get a little bit of that Indian summer and it bleeds into October, November, it'll allow for some opportunities.
I mean, yeah, 55 degrees at the end of November. I don't remember the last time I saw that, honestly.
The only issue is if you play late into October, November, you're usually hitting golf balls under leaves.
That's true. That's a tough part about it.
So I've seen people out there actually with electric leaf blowers, and I'm like, hey, doesn't that move the ball around? And they're like, no, it's an electric leaf blower. It doesn't even blow that hard. So
many jokes you're leaving open right now.
Yes. Ham joke, but the electrical leaf blower, it might be a club to add to the bag when you're getting out there in October, November in Michigan.
Tip from shallow.
So I've definitely battled some leaves with some fall golf. I'm not sure if this would be considered early or late in the season, but the strangest time I've ever played golf in Michigan was January. I was about 10 years old, and a babysitter's boyfriend and his buddy came and picked me up, and there was probably 2 or 3 inches of snow on the ground, enough where there was a covering, and we grabbed probably 3 or 4 clubs each, pink golf balls, and went and hopped on Barton Hills, Donald Ross course here in Ann Arbor, and we just whacked pink golf balls around Barton Hills in probably 40 degrees and snow for 3 hours.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of scoring done that day.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get to it. We got a big agenda. We're going to talk first a little Tournament of Champions recap. We're going to jump into our home fantasy golf league, the Sunday Sandbagger, which is a season-long fantasy golf league on PGA Tour Fantasy Golf. But before we get into the results of the week for our home league, let's talk Tournament of Champions. Harris English, first win in 7 years. Thoughts?
I could not believe it out of the gate. We'll talk about it a little later. We had somebody that had picked him. Outstanding and shocked are the words that come to mind.
He's played well in 2020. He is definitely a long shot. Definitely not somebody that you think is like, oh, got to be on my card for this week. But he was incredible start to finish. So that was awesome to watch. The tournament that he put together was probably one of the best that I can remember from somebody. It was really impressive.
Yeah, start to finish. Harris English, part of the Sea Island Mafia. He's a fun guy to root for on tour. Really, really good to see him get the win. Again, first win in 7 years. That's a grind when you go 7 years between wins on the PGA Tour.
He almost lost his card.
Yeah, he sure did.
So took home a nice purse too.
Yeah, $1.2 million helps, and extending that tour card. What is it? 2-3 years for the victory.
Oh yeah,
that's good stuff.
Sponsorship money alone, I think.
Yeah. All right. Who surprised you most in Kapalua? Any performances that stuck out?
Yeah. I think Colin Morikawa has pretty much just cemented himself as a presence on this tour for the time being. And then to follow that up and kind of snowball on Colin Morikawa, the young guys in general, man, if these guys keep improving, the young guys on tour are we got a bright future ahead of us. That's for sure.
How about you?
I'm going to go with the Chilean monster, Joaquin Niemann, coming out the gate with not so strong with a 69, 2 rounds of 67 in a row, and then finishing with a strong 64 performance. Unbelievable.
Yeah, you know, Joaquin Niemann is one of those guys who gets overlooked a lot because he's in that same age range as the Matt Wolfs, the Colin Morikawas, the Victor Hovlands, the guys that have won on tour, contended in big events. And not to say that Joaquin hasn't. He won the Greenbrier 2 years ago, certainly tip of the cap there. But he gets a little overlooked. He's an international guy from Chile. He took an unconventional route that we're used to here in the States. Instead of going through college, came up a different route through some of the mini tours and everything. So awesome to see Joaquin Niemann contend like that. My heart went out to him when he couldn't put it together on that playoff hole, but that's not the last we're going to hear from Joaquin Niemann. He's going to contend in more tournaments this year. I think he might be live for the Open this summer. I think he's going to play really well in windy conditions. He may be a good one to kind of look ahead to for some early lines there. For me, it's Sungjae Im. Of the top 13 golfers in ties at the Century Tournament of Champions this week, only 2 in that group were debutantes playing the course in the tournament for the first time, Sungjae and Scotty Scheffler. This is historically a tournament that rewards experience, guys that know how to get around the course. So for Sungjae in his first appearance to show up and finish T5, probably the most impressive of many impressive performances this week for me.
I played him. I started him. That's my guy. Just want you to know that.
I love it. I mean, I think he's live again this week. We'll talk about that a little bit when we get into some of our picks on both our fantasy lineups as well as our betting cards. But let's jump in real quick. Recap the Sunday Sandbagger. Again, this is our home fantasy golf league on PGA Tour Fantasy Golf. We got 13 active members. I should say 13 total members. We've got about 11 that are currently active. We did play for a $45 side pot this week. We're going to get into recapping our picks from last week because we did have one of the 3 co-hosts nail the outright winner in the tournament. But the double par special comes through with 972 points. I know this is a limited field, no-cut event, but 972 points on the PGA Tour Fantasy Golf League is a pretty impressive score. He outpaced Dimpled Balls, your current leader in the chase for the UPS Cup standings, by 30 points, as well as CBP finished 3rd in the tournament, 31 back. Actually had Joaquin Niemann on his bench, or this would have been a different outcome. But again, double par special takes the win, takes a $45 side pot, and we've actually got a little bit of audio. Shallow Callow sat down with the double par special to discuss.
Yes.
I'm going to mute now.
Welcome to the first ever Sunday Sandbagger host tournament recap special interview with Double Par Special. I'm your host, Shallow Callow. Double Par Special. Excellent victory last week. Thank you. Appreciate it. I think I'm going to ask the first question that's on everybody's mind. Harris English. You're the only person with Harris English in the entire league. Why? Why?
You know what? Before the break, he was playing really well. In my little bit of research that I do every week, he's on fire. I like looking at his daily fantasy stuff. Those guys are gods, and they make a lot of money. So when I saw him being the top of their list for low-cost players for daily fantasy, I tossed him in my lineup and take a chance at it. I normally like taking a chance at one guy every week.
He ended up pretty much going, I believe, wire to wire, yeah?
Wire to wire.
Wire to wire, wire.
Wire to wire. But after I actually after the first day, I actually did not have him in my lineup. No, that was somebody else. Never mind. I remember I made a little green switch when he got hot, and
Gotcha.
he kind of cooled down on me there too.
He did. Well, that's great. Is there like a special routine that you go through when you're setting your lineups? Anything that you're looking for throughout the week? Line movements, anything like that?
So I screwed up a couple weeks by my part of my idea of how I'm going to get the right guys each week. I like looking at the percentages of how many people are starting. People, I normally take one of the top 4 guys that everybody sees. I'll definitely take one. Thomas for me. But I like seeing those guys. See how many people are picking. And then I'll go through, look at power rankings. Make sure, and I'll check the course out, understand what a course. I mean, like this week was kind of big fairways, resort style course. So
we love the resort style courses, don't we?
We all love resort style. I'm like a 5 handicap on a resort style course, while you get me out on Leslie Park, and I'm probably about a 35 or something like that.
Hey, Leslie Park is different. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
That is the gem of Ann Arbor golf. Right
So big segment 2 leadoff win.
Yeah.
That was pretty much your first week on tour. You went in tournaments. I gotta say, it's been impressive. I want to know, for the sake of myself and the sake for others, do you plan on missing anything else this segment to give everybody a chance so that we can make up some points so that you're not playing them all?
You know what? Fortunately enough, I got big plans in my future, so I might be in a car one day and probably eat too many edibles, like that Bermuda course, waking up at 9 o'clock and realizing, shit, they teed off at 6:30 in the morning instead of noon, like they've been doing all year in California and Hawaii. So that definitely got me. But being a restaurant person and having different hours than the rest of the world, it happens. But this segment, I'm planning on winning this segment.
Right.
It was a failure on discipline why I lost last segment.
Well, so I plan on winning this segment as well. But thanks for being the first ever post-tournament Sunday Sandbagger Pod interview. Appreciate it.
Yeah, lovely. And good luck next week, Chris, because you're the one who needs it the most.
Certainly. Thanks, guys.
Shots fired.
Oh yeah, man.
Good stuff from the double par special.
Definitely. He was gracious to come over last night. Wasn't much football to watch, so thought we getting it into an interview real quick.
Silly Bama.
Yeah. But it was
all right.
It was good. He's I think he's back and recommitted, and
the rest of the league should be scared about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you with my pick of the week this week in the league.
Little hint.
I'll tease right now a little bit of a trend going on after a double par special win. So that'll be coming up in your 2 o'clock hour on the podcast here.
2 o'clock hour.
I'll tell you
How long
what.
do you think that's going to be?
I tell you what, I think we've played 12 tournaments so far between segment 1 and the start of segment 2. The double par special has missed 2 tournaments and still won 3. So every time that guy shows up with a lineup, he's live.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. That's
all right.
That was my just went with that for my pick last week. So yeah.
Yep, we'll get to recapping picks here as well as make some more picks for the upcoming tournament. A few more storylines to cover from the Tournament of Champions. Hags to Rags benches Justin Thomas on Sunday. After Shallow Callow playing some mind games on text message with Hags to Rags. What did you say to convince him to keep JT out of the lineup after what happened with the slur?
So I didn't say anything. I believe I ended my text conversation with him saying that if JT is playing, you've got to play him just for the potential for FedEx Cup points, which lo and behold, my man goes out there and gets some FedEx Cup points for himself and for the tournament.
300.
But so I sent the same text message to Tyus. I said, "What are you thinking about JT? Are you thinking about playing him? Is he going to be okay? Is he going to do this?" And me and Ty had kind of, sports guy Ty had a couple back and forth text messages. And so I sent one to Haggy, knowing full well that he's got Colin Morikawa on his bench. And I've got Colin Morikawa for the entire tournament in my starting lineup. So I'm thinking, all right, he's going to play Morikawa anyways. The only real chance I have, because he's got another player in the same as me, is for him to get JT out of the lineup and JT blow up, and that's how I'm going to pass him. So I just, planted that seed of doubt about, the potential of JT going low and having this in his head where he's, not going to be able to play well. And it worked.
Mind games are a part of fantasy golf as well.
And he benched him. And I jumped him in the standings because of that.
And I lost my head-to-head pick.
Did.
Thanks, eggs. They're eggs.
All right. Speaking of mind games, Tin Cup, tell us what was going through your head when you decided not to play Xander Schauffele and John Rahm on Sunday. No slingshot play for you this week.
Yeah, so I thought about doing it, honestly, and benching Reed and benching Cantley. And I thought it was a smart play, but honestly, it didn't really look like I was going to be able to pull off the win unless one of those two did something miraculous. So I thought to myself, I was going to save those two. It's a long segment here, and just kind of come in. I figured I'd be 20, 30 points behind in the segment, and that's about where I'm at. But just like last segment, all I have to do is win one or two, and you'll be right back on top.
Yep. So it's a good, logic, good thought process to go through. It's not so much that you were saving starts. You were just trying to put yourself in the best position to win this tournament and to accumulate points for the segment.
Absolutely right.
I agree. I think, I was looking at how I was going to make a move, and I started Sunday, I believe, in 10th, maybe not 9th or 10th place. And I was like, how am I going to make a move? How am I going to make a move? Am I going to put Abe Answer in there, which I ended up should have played him because he shot one of the low rounds of the day, second low round of the day, would have had a few more bonus points. But everybody had Xander. Everybody had, all those golfers team that you were talking about putting in there. So I think that was, almost the right play to say, hey, what if this guy does something special? Nobody else is going to have him. So that's how I'm going to get my points back.
It was my best shot.
Yeah, I agree. I think so.
There's a lot of micro strategy in season-long fantasy golf, really day-to-day on the lineups and trying to predict who's going to play which golfers. Segment 1, shorter, 9 tournaments. Again, there's not as much concern about needing to save starts. So one school of thought is you would have played Schauffele and you would have played Rahm because they give you the best chance at that slingshot up the standings if they are to have the high finish, because their FedEx Bonus Cup points are going to be larger than potentially a Patrick Reed, who I think was 12 under going into Sunday. Both Rahm and Schauffele 14 under. But again, it's not just about looking at the slingshot. It's about looking at who's around you. We compete, as we've talked about on episodes previously, for side pots as well, and not just the segment championship, the season-long championship. So there's extra incentive to win the individual tournaments, not just the long game. So a lot of good strategy that goes into it. But before we get into previewing the next tournament up for the PGA Tour, as well as our fantasy golf season, Shallow Callow, give us a quick rundown. Where do we stand on standings, money list, anything you want to throw at us for the league?
Dimpled Balls obviously still holds the season-long title right now. He finished, I believe, 2nd or 3rd this week. Hey, Lambo, how you doing, buddy? And after that, Sports Guy Ty, you're still sitting in 2nd. Tin Cup, you're still sitting in 3rd, followed by Spartan 80, 14 the hard way, a few others. And, unfortunately for the double par special, there wasn't much movement for him towards the front to close it down, because this was one of those tournaments where everybody made the cut. So everybody went into the weekend with 6 golfers and 6 choices, and people were scoring low unless you had Hideki Matsuyama.
$14 the hard way. Who continued to play him throughout the week.
Hey, $14 a hard way. You can reward yourself with a fillet of fish, which I hear you're very fond of.
Takes him back to his days as a pledge at the SAE house in Oxford, Mississippi.
Terrible things happen there, I'm sure.
All right, let me tell you where Double Par Special did make a move on the leaderboard. He did climb up to third on the 2021 money list. With the $45 side pot cash, he moves up to $155 on the year. Sits behind yours truly, Sports Guy Ty at $225, and our leader, Dimpled Balls, at $230. Another place where Double Par Special made his mark this week, as mentioned earlier, this is already his third tournament win of the 2021 fantasy golf season. He is leading the league. There's a group behind him with 2 wins apiece, 4 golfers, and then 4 others have 1 tournament win this year. But again, pretty impressive to miss 2 tournaments and then win 3 of the 9 or 10 that you play for the Double Par Special. You probably blame this on you, Callow, for bringing him into the league.
I'm sorry, guys.
Hey, competition breeds excellence.
It sure does. No, we want the best. Okay, let's jump into Sony Open preview quickly. We'll move this along. We'll get to some picks here shortly. Then we'll turn it over to our betting cards. Great weekend again on Maui. So we leave the nice laid-back lifestyle, the beaches. We island hop over to the hustle and bustle of Honolulu. Waialae Country Club, much different course this time around from what the guys played on last week. Only par 73 course on the PGA Tour schedule this year for the Century Tournament of Champions. We flip over, we go to a par 70 at Waialae, 7,044 yards, narrow fairways, again, very short course. We do double up on the Bermuda greens this week, but different from Kapalua and the Plantation course in the sense that this course is much more level. You're not literally cut into the side of a mountain, so the lies are going to be a little bit better. The fairways are much more narrow. Still holds true that you have to putt to win at Waialae. As well, experience matters here. 14 of the past 15 winners at Waialae at the Sony Open had played the tournament in a previous year. Russell Henley in 2013 is the last golfer to have won the tournament in his debut. And then Cam Smith last year broke a streak of the previous 6 winners of the tournament, having played the week before the Tournament of Champions. So 2020, a weird year all the way from the get-go. Only 2 players have ever completed the Hawaii Slam, Ernie Els and Justin Thomas, winning back-to-back at Tournament of Champions as well as the Sony Open. Harris English will get a chance to try for that this week. And then lastly, similar to what we saw a year ago at Kapalua and the Plantation course, much lower scoring last year at the Sony Open. This is another one of those courses where you typically see a winning score minus 20 or below. Cam Smith, your winner last year at minus 11. Wind, uncharacteristic rain, really just wreaked havoc on the tournament all week last year. But I expect much more the norm this year, looking at much calmer weather. Guys probably going low again, 20 and below. Anything that either of you two are looking at in terms of course makeup, statistics to consider? What's important for you this week at Waialae?
Well, the first thing that I always would say, like you pointed out, the fairways are much narrower, but the rough on this one, rumor has it, isn't quite as punishing as a lot of courses on tour, and it's really about the angles that you leave yourself with. If you leave yourself with a bad angle out of the rough, it's going to be a lot more difficult than if you leave yourself a good angle out of the rough, and you can still, take advantage of, larger greens than you usually see. So the one thing I'm looking for is going to be shots gained off the driver and shots gained approach. If you can get yourself in there and get yourself nice and close, you're going to score low at this course. Like you said, sports guy type, you're looking at 20 under again this week, 25 under again this week as a winner. So these guys are going to be looking to shoot it close and go as low as possible right off the bat.
Well, Shallow, you took the words right out of my mouth there. I was going to say shots gained on the drive is going to be incredibly important this week. Just some fun ones to consider. Maybe Abe Answer, Stuart Sink, or I think you have to keep looking at Harry English at this point.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
All right, well, let's go right to the golfers then that we're looking to target. I'm pretty much aligned with both you guys. This is one of the more difficult courses actually to hit the fairway on the PGA Tour. The guys hit the fairway at just over 53%. So I am looking for strokes gained off the tee as well. More so, though, again, strokes gained on approach for me. Par fours gained, where a lot of scoring is going to have to be done on a par 70 course. And then again, putting. I mean, it just comes down to you got to go low in a birdie fest. If you can't put on these greens, you're not going to contend. But all right, you teased it for us. Tin Cup golfers to target. Who else are you looking at? And let's be clear, from a fantasy lineup perspective, we'll get to our betting cards shortly. But for a weekly fantasy lineup, who are some names that you're looking at?
Well, are we just going with who is definitely going to be in my lineup, or just a couple that we're thinking about?
Yeah, give me first a few guys that you're thinking about. We'll ask for one golfer who's going to definitely be in your lineup at the end.
So a couple names that came up during my research. Daniel Berger came up. Webb Simpson was an option. Colin Morikawa is just playing unbelievable, as Shallow had alluded to, and obviously you gotta love Joaquin Niemann.
What about you, Shallow Cal? Anybody that catches your eye?
Yeah, man. There are two of them, and they're both Korean guys. Siwoo Kim. Been waiting for my man. Siwoo. I've been waiting for my mans to come back on tour just to pick him. It's his first tournament back. Love the guy. He is, he's just a presence on tour when he steps on the course, just dripping in swag. And then his fellow Korean, Soonjae, man, he loves the Bermuda, and he's been playing fantastic. Showed fantastic last week. I think that if he gets to the same score he got to last week, he's going to be right there again. So those are two guys that. I used Soonjae last week, but I don't care about dropping another start right off the bat. It's a 9 tournament. When do you use that second bullet? I'm going to use his on a course that fits his style, because the next, few might not fit him as well, and this one does. So, going to roll the dice again.
This is definitely a Sungjae course, Bermuda greens. Again, par 70 where you can score, birdie fest, go low. I like him a lot too. I'm looking at the guys who've had a lot of success at Waialae in the past, guys who have gained the most strokes on the field. Webb Simpson, Kevin Kisner, Chucky Three Sticks, Charles Howell III, I think is live this week. Mark Leishman is interesting. Tremendous record at Waialae. Hasn't been in the best of form lately, but I think he's another option to consider this week. I like Abe Answer based on what he did last week at Tournament of Champions. I like Billy Horschel because of the way he putts. Again, I think he's got the ability to go low. Billy Ho, that Florida Gator. In terms of golfers that were fading, I'm going to fade Hideki again. It was just so bad last week. He lost over 9 strokes putting, and Hideki is not a good putter, but anytime you lose 9 strokes putting, you're not going to contend. I see him having a lot of trouble again on these greens in Honolulu. I'm going to fade Harris English. I think the shine rubs off a little bit. He relaxes after getting that big victory, maybe kind of takes a little bit of a victory lap this week. I still think he's going to be a good play. I don't know if he's going to be a top 10 contender. One more for me, Adam Scott. Irons were dialed in last week, but he's another guy who lost 3 strokes putting. When you lose 3 strokes on the green like that, it's going to be tough to contend. I don't see Adam Scott dialing it in this week. Anybody that either one of you are fading?
Yeah, I'm fading Brandt Snedeker. His performance has just steadily been slipping over the last few tournaments, so I think that's an easy fade. Maybe one that's a little out there for some people, but Sergio Garcia. I think he had a good performance last week, but I don't think it's going to trend that's going to continue.
Sergio hadn't played in 10 years at the Sony Open. I'm with you. He looked good last week. The irons were certainly in form. The putting was fine, but I don't see how he rebounds and follows that up at Waialae. What about you, Shallow Callow?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say Ryan Palmer. The golf gods are gonna come back and bite him in the ass. When I saw him with that interview after, they talked about the kicking of the divot situation, you see him like start to just ramble on and on about, oh, the ball wasn't even getting close and this and this and that. And, oh, I didn't know. It's like almost like he was, you could see the brains turning on him trying to formulate this story when he clearly did not kick it out of anger. You clearly saw him walk up to the divot and gently brush it away with his foot, like clearing leaves or something around your ball. It was not a forceful, angry kick. It was a strategic kick. He wasn't looking at his ball. He thought his ball was rolling because when he turned away from his ball was rolling hard off that green. I'm fading Ryan Palmer. Should have got the stroke penalty.
He was pretty feisty about it too, and they asked him after the round. He was not pleased when they wanted him to watch and kind of assess what he had or had not done. So that's an interesting one. A lot of people like Ryan Palmer this week. I'm not sure that I'm in either camp. Not an outright fade for me. I don't know that I'm going to have him in many lineups, either daily, season long, or potentially on the betting card, but he's definitely an interesting one. All right, rapid fire this. Give me one golfer who is absolutely going to be in your lineup this week for the Sunday Sandbagger. Tin Cup, go.
Soon JM. I mean, everybody alluded to it. He's just a no-brainer for me this week.
How about you, Shallow Callow?
See woo!
See woo!
That's my God.
I love it.
He's in my lineup.
All right. For me, it's the Todd father, Brendan Todd. Love him on this course. He's a shorter hitter, but he hits it straight. He putts well. If that putter gets hot, I love it. I don't know if I'm going to start the Todd father, still to be determined yet, but he's going to be in my lineup this week.
He's currently on my card as well.
I like it. All right, let's recap quickly our betting picks for the Sunday Sandbagger last week, and then also get into who we're going to pick this week in the tournament. Big week for Shallow Cal. He hasn't quite put it together yet in terms of his own fantasy lineup, but pretty darn good last week picking golfers. Up 4 units. Shallow Cal, you picked, first of all, the outright winner, double par special plus 300, netted you a solid 3 units. How about that?
That was good. I had talked to him and I was like, you're in, and just looked like when he had been playing, he had been picking pretty damn good lineups, and he was right there at first place for a while. So just thought that presented a great value pick, and it paid off.
And how about your matchup pick? You picked against the podcast host. Never a smart move, except when it is a smart move and it works out. Double par special beats me.
Yes. There's going to be a funny turnaround with the picks this week. Another teaser right there. Foreshadowing, they call it, I believe, in the journalism classes that I took. Never.
Very well done. Tin Cup, you finished down 2 units, but it was close. Your outright pick, CBP, finished 3rd. Again, we alluded to it earlier. All he's got to do is play Joaquin Niemann on Sunday, and you got yourself a big win there.
I saw that, but CBP, he's a good man. He was a good pick, but it didn't work out.
And then your matchup pick as well, a little bit of a budding fantasy rivalry here. You picked Hags to Rags over Shallow Callow. Again, a golfer who was impacted by a lineup decision on Sunday. Didn't play JT, or it might have been a different outcome for you.
It's interesting to hear, as the first I'm hearing it, that there might be some collusion that was involved there. So I might have to return the favor to Shallow this week.
As for me, I finished the week even on my picks. My outright was Spartaneity. Gave me a good sweat on Saturday. He did grab that lead temporarily, wound up finishing fifth. My matchup play came through. I took CBP over $14 the hard way, gave me a unit back there. So again, recapping from the first week, Shallow Callow, leader in the clubhouse, up 4 units. Sports Guy Tie is even. Tin Cup is down 2 units. Let's quickly run through the odds this week for the Sony Open, make our picks before we get into the real stuff on our betting card. So for starters, Sony Open odds, double par special with the win last week, vaults all the way up to the odds-on favorite at plus 150. Your current UPS leader, Dimpled Balls, is plus 200. Roy Tin Cup McAvoy at plus 225. And then you got a grouping of 3 golfers at plus 250. Sports Guy Tie, Spartan 80 again, CBP. Patrick Weed slots in at plus 275. We're going to leave Hags to Rags at plus 300 this week, along with 14 the hard way. Drops a little bit after his performance. Shallow Callow's odds unchanged at plus 350. Bradley Peterson makes a little move up to plus 350. And then we've dropped Eric Winters and Ridgely pretty much from anybody's consideration at plus 10,000 and plus 12,500. So where are we going here? Let me start with our leader, Shallow Callow. Give me a pick outright and give me a matchup play this week.
All right, so I teased this earlier, and my outright this week. If you have noted and been following the league, you will see that when the double par special wins a tournament, closely thereafter, there is somebody who wins the tournament the very next week, and that person is our host, Sports Guy Ty. So that's who I'm picking to win the tournament this week, because it's happened every single time that the double par special has won a tournament. Sports Guy Ty has won the next one. So that's my pick of the week. And my matchup of the week, I'm going to pick Roy Tin Cup McAvoy to beat my new rival, Hags to Rags. You're going down, buddy.
Wow. All right. A lot of love for the fellow podcast co-hosts. I like it. I also don't like giving too much space to double par special after a victory. So I am going to be locked in this week. All right, Tin Cup, who you got for an outright and a matchup?
Outright winner. I got Patrick Weed coming in strong at plus 275. He's due for one. Old Slobbertooth is going to, put something back, and he's going to put together a good lineup here. For outright matchup, I also picked somebody to beat Hags to Rags after his poor performance. I figured he would also follow it up, and I'm going to go with my last tournament winner, CBP over Hags to Rags.
CBP over Hags to Rags. I like it. Okay. You took my outright on Patrick Weed at plus 275. That's where I was thinking about going as well. So I'm going to pivot. I'm going to go with Dimpled Balls, a little bit shorter number at plus 200, but that'd be a nice 2-unit pickup for me. Leading the FedEx Cup race, the UPS Cup race, putting some distance between himself and the others last week. Dimpled Balls for me outright. For my matchup, I'm going to stay right there with Dimpled Balls, and I think he beats the double par special this week. Similar to what happens when double par special wins and I seem to rise up and put in good lineups, I think Dimpled Balls is going to do the same. He's going to want that spotlight back on him. He gets the victory over double par special. All right, we're going to track those as always. We'll report back, update the standings next week. But now it's time to move on to our newest segment, Right Click Print Money. So what we do during this segment is, again, we're going to give you our picks for the week on the actual tournament and the professional golfers that play in it. We're going to do one outright pick, one top 10 pick, as well as one matchup pick. And then we'll also talk just briefly about anything else that interests us on the card. So first, bad week last week, really for all three of us in terms of our picks. Shallow Callow down 3 units, Tin Cup down 2 units. Shallow Callow down 3 units, Tin Cup down 3 units. I wound up down 2 units. outrights last week: Tin Cup, Dustin Johnson; Shallow Callow, Patrick Cantlay; Sports Guy Ty, Justin Thomas. All close, but no victors there. We struck out in the top 10s as well. Tin Cup on Patrick Cantlay; Shallow Callow on Mackenzie Hughes, who was terrible. Myself with Webb Simpson, who sniffed around but just couldn't quite get over the hump. Only win for anybody on the card last week. Wasn't even a win. I pushed my matchup. Bryson and John Rahm tied. Shallow Callow did not submit. Tin Cup's pick of Hideki over John Rahm did not work out too well.
No.
So we'll let you lead it off, Tin Cup, for some redemption. Give me your outright, give me your top 10, and give me your tournament matchup.
All right, my outright this week. It was hard for me to pass this up on CBS Sports. 22-1, Soon J M. I'm loving him this tournament. I think he's going to perform well, as he alluded to. Plays well in the Bermuda. Top 10 at plus 200. Joaquin Niemann. I'm liking that pick. I think he's going to shine this week. Matchup. I'm going to take my boy at the Masters here, Cam Smith, over Sergio Garcia, who I don't think is going to perform very well. That's plus 110 for that matchup.
Okay, I like it. That is an amazing number at Sung Jae at 22-1. If you can still get that number, bet that number. Sung Jae fell all the way down to 16 on one book that I was looking at. He's going to be a trendy golfer, not only for outrights this week, but he's going to be a big play in one and dones as well. I like it. Shallow Callow, what do you got?
Right click, print money. I'm going to start off with a non-golf bet, but right click, print money. We're going to go Buffalo Bills -2 against the Baltimore Ravens. Right click,
print money.
Buffalo is going to roll the Ravens at home in Buffalo in the snow. It's just going down. It's going to happen. Circle the wagon.
I like it.
So I've got a couple of golf ones. My outright winner, I think, I could give you a front runner. I could get you somebody up there at bigger odds, but I'm going to go with Abe Answer at 28-1. I think his game fits this course well, and at 28-1, that's going to be a big, jolt to the bankroll there if you bang one of those. A top 10, good old Johnny Vegas at 11. Johnny Vegas, 11-1 for the top 10 finish. Let's roll the dice on there. Try and get some big units on that course. His game also fits the course well. That's where I'm going with that. I actually had the same Sergio matchup. Sergio as Tin Cup. Sergio is just not. He's I don't know. He had it there for a little bit, and then he fades. He starts well, and then he just can't keep it rolling, and just kind of falls off. And then my dark horse, 66-1 odds, Big C Woo.
Woo.
66-1. I know it's a theme of this podcast, but he bangs one out this weekend. That's a nice return on investment.
All right, excellent. I'm gonna go a little bit. I'm going to pivot from both of you guys. Not a whole lot of overlap in any of our bets. I did consider going against Sergio as well in the tournament matchup. I'll talk about that in a second when we get to more bets that we like on the card. But for my outright, I'm going Daniel Berger. This line dropped a little bit. Saw it as high as 24-1, 22-1 early Monday morning, down all the way to 14-1 today on one book. But I'm still rolling with Daniel Berger. He's also going to be my pick in the big Mayo Cup this week for the one and done. I love his ability to get it done on the greens. If that putter gets hot, he was great at the Mayakoba, which is another crossover tournament for the Sony Open. Played last week at the Century Tournament Champions, which is the big key. I like Daniel Berger outright 14-1. Top 10, I'm going back to the well. It burned me last week, but I got a better number on Webb Simpson this week, plus 115 top 10. I think he's a live play as well for an outright. The number is too rich for my blood at this point, but I do like him top 10. And then with my tournament matchup, I'm sticking with Daniel Berger, and I'm inserting one of my fades from earlier. I'm going Berger minus 115 over Harris English. Anything else? Yeah. I told you. I mean, I like Harris this week. I like Berger better.
I like Danny Burgers this week.
Yeah. Anything else on any of those cards, any of those numbers that catches the eye for either of you?
Yeah, I'll start with my good friend Taylor Gooch at plus 8,000, 80 to 1 odds. You know, he could come out of nowhere and lock this one down, and that would be a nice jolt to the belly. Also, Abe Answer, first round leader, 40 to 1, and Billy Ho, first round leader, 45 to 1. I like as well.
We think similarly, Callow. I'm on both Billy Ho as well as Abraham Answer for that first round leader ticket, mostly because I love the numbers. But again, I think that the course is perfectly suited for Answer. I love Horschel's putter.
40 to 1 and 45 to 1 on that for first round leader. Like that'll get you a lot of bets right there.
Yep. Let me stick right there for a minute because I'm looking at a few other names as well. I like Kevin Kisner at 40 to 1 for first round leader. Again, he's a guy who has great course history. He plays well in the shorter tracks. He's a tremendous wedge player. And if that putter gets hot, again, he's a guy that can run away with this.
Yes, sir.
Poor form lately, but I like Matt Kuchar, 50 to 1 as first round leader. Again, tournament history, good crossover with Mayakoba record. Russell Henley, a former tournament winner at 50 to 1 first round leader. Sebastian Munoz played last week. He's at 60 to 1 first round leader. A few more names further down the card. I'm not certain I'm going to go this direction yet, but a few that pop out at me: Emiliano Grillo, 66 to 1, Kevin Na at 70 to 1, and
you got the
Nah, because he's a putter, man. He's a short ball hitter and he's a putter.
Yep.
And also the Gim Reaper for me. I love Dougie Gim at 100 to 1 first round leader. I kind of like Dougie Gim as an outright at 150 to 1, 125 to 1, whatever you see him out there.
I was like, whoa. And then I was like, maybe Vijay Singh can turn back the clock.
Nah, Kevin, nah. Anything else? What else are we looking at on the cards? Anything that pops to anybody?
Yeah, I mean, a top 5 of Billy Ho, 10 to 1, Rich Wierenski, 25 to 1, and Cam Davis, 18 to 1. I think presents a little bit of value there.
I like Cam Davis as an outright at 100 to 1. Top T9 last year at Sony Open. Again, form is not great right now. It's not terrible, but I think for a sprinkle at 100 to 1, I like Cam Davis too.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let's see. Let me take one more gander here. I'll probably go back to the well with Lanto Griffin for another top 20. Cashed last week. He's plus 140. Again, a bit better number this week. So I like that. I mentioned I was considering a tournament matchup play against Sergio. If I go that route, the Todd father, Brendan Todd, is minus 115 against Sergio. A few more outrights I like in the lower numbers. Again, I mentioned Danny Berger, 14 to 1. I got a real nice number on Colin Morikawa that I'm seeing at one book, still 16 to 1. Like your play, Shallow Callow on Abraham Answer. I like the Todd father, 40 to 1. Lanto, 40 to 1. Might be another big card this week.
Yeah, sometimes stuff happens.
All right, well, let's wrap this up here with our final 2 segments. Moving on, we're going to step outside the box a little bit, and let's talk about your favorite golf course that you've ever played. I I'm not talking, necessarily the most expensive course, the most prestigious. It can be, doesn't have to be. But what is your favorite golf course that you've ever played in your life? Tin Cup, what you got for us?
I am going highly prestigious with Whistling Straits. I had the honor to play that. Unfortunately, it was after a year removed from golf. For those of you who don't know, that I had extensive knee surgery on the same knee for a second time. I had to take a year off the sport. Came back first, and I'm not a very good golfer to start. So first time back after that little break was at Whistling Straits. They say there's 1,000 bunkers on that course, and my caddy said I hit 980 of them.
And if I remember right, you guys played in a little bit of pea soup that weekend as well. It was tough conditions at Whistling Straits.
I mean, it was unbelievable. The fog, you couldn't see where you were hitting. And these caddies, I mean, you'd hit it and they'd say, oh, yeah, you hit it about 200 yards that way. And you'd say, you don't know where that is. And they'd find it. They were true professionals.
I'll tell you what, a good caddy is hard to beat for anything.
It's you get windy conditions out there. You really need to bring a jacket, don't you, Tin Cup?
Yes, unfortunately, I fell victim to spending way too much money on a clubhouse jacket because I had no other choice. But what?
But now
so
you got your Whistling Straits logo.
I do have a very nice Whistling Straits waterproof jacket.
Perfect.
All right, Shallow Callow, favorite course you've ever played?
Favorite course. I mean, I've played some really nice ones. I'm gonna give some shout out to a local course here in Ann Arbor and go Leslie Park. It's a municipal park, or it's a muni here. It's $36 for a round of golf with a cart. It's well maintained. It's an Arthur Hills designed course. It was in Golf Digest top 50 muni courses in the country. It's in the top 10 public courses in Michigan. And to be able to just walk out and play that pretty much whenever you want to, as long as there's not leagues going, it's great.
I believe it held an LGP, God, I can't speak, an LGPA tournament at some point as well.
Right?
Yeah, not
LPGA.
LPGA. I need some more of this.
Did Leslie host an LPGA?
Maybe I'm wrong.
Travis Country Club did.
I think they did something. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but it was like Volvic or something was there. There was a big tournament.
That's definitely my favorite course to play at. It's
course too.
It's great. It's extremely well kept, and it's a municipal course, and it's great for what you're going to get out of it. You're going to get some big par fives. That just
right off the first tee, par five.
First tee, par five, yeah, and it's one that you can definitely hit in two. So it's a good way to start it off. But then you know through the apple orchard and whatnot, you go. So I love the Leslie Golf.
Definitely a course that all three of us can relate to, as well as a lot of the guys listening to this podcast playing in our league.
Absolutely.
All right, for me, and munis have a special place in my heart as well. I considered a few for this segment, but I'm going to take the route that Roy Tin Cup McAvoy went, and I'm going to go with a little bit more up-level course. Favorite course I've ever played at is Shoal Creek in Birmingham, Alabama, situated in the valley between Oak and Double Oak Mountains. Very quick story about playing Shoal Creek. So in the summer of 2008, I was actually the golf writer for the Birmingham News, and Shoal Creek, which is a top 50 course in America every year on Golf Digest, one of the best courses in Alabama, along with the Robert Trent Jones Trail, etc. It hosted the U.S. Junior Amateur Championship. So I actually got to spend a whole week out at Shoal Creek covering that event. 14-year-old Jordan Spieth was there. A young Patrick Reed played in that tournament. Emiliano Grillo, Richie Warinsky played in that tournament. And none of them were the biggest name. By far, the biggest name that week was Corey Whitsitt. A name that probably doesn't mean a lot to golf fans these days because he really didn't do a lot after that initial bump as a junior. Went on to Alabama, played some good golf, not some great golf, bounced around a little bit on the mini tours. There was definitely a buzz about a young Jordan Spieth at 14 years old, but Corey Whitsitt was definitely the storyline that week. But reason why I say it's my favorite course, again, a beautiful course cut right in the middle of a valley of two massive mountains in Birmingham. You get different weather at Shoal Creek than you do just down the road in the city. But I was actually invited to play in the Pro-Am prior to the event as one of the lead golf writers. And I say Pro-Am. We weren't actually playing with the amateur golfers. We were playing. I know, right? No Jordan Spieth foursome for me, but they had a bunch of the members come out and host the local media, the national media. We got to play a few rounds out there, and I was actually paired with Wayne Gillis, one of the board members of the club, and a guy very instrumental in actually bringing a Tournament of Champions major to Shoal Creek several years later. But I'm paired with Wayne Gillis and also Jeff Spiegel, the sports reporter for ABC 3340 in Birmingham, Alabama. So because we were paired with Spiegs, we had a camera with us the entire time because, he had to get some shots and cut some footage for the highlight reel that night at 6:00. So this is probably some of the worst golf I've played in my life, not only during the round, but leading into it as well. Just totally out of sync. We had caddies. One of the few times in my life I played with a caddy. And after about every shot, he would just look at me and shake his head, tell me everything that I did wrong. That he had just told me to correct the shot before. But my one saving grace, par 3, I believe it was hole 15 or 16. I got to go back and look this up. But I stick my iron to the back side of the green, back right of the green. I'm probably 45, 50 feet away, long downhill snaking putt. I don't have a clue where this putt is reading. The caddy whispers in my ear. He goes, look left, hit it left, and just close your eyes. So I walk up to it. I do exactly that. This thing trickles down the hill. It finds its way all the way to the hole and drops in. And I just give the tiger fist pump as it goes. And that is the shot that Jeff Spiegel used out of everything we did that day on the course for the local highlights on ABC 3340.
That's awesome.
Birmingham, we had some times there. CBP, one of our members, got married there, I believe.
He sure did. Got married in Birmingham. One of my favorite cities, honestly. That was some of the most fun I've had living and working in Birmingham, being the golf writer down there. That was a whole bunch of fun.
We had a good time with that wedding, that's for sure.
All right, we got to wrap this up because we're going long again, and I've got a baby and a bottle to get to. So last segment of the evening for us, new segment again, what's on your card this week? What we're going to do each week is we're going to end with this segment, and I'm going to ask each of you to give me a storyline from the world of golf and how it scores on your card. Is it a birdie? Is it a bogey? Is it a double bogey, an other? So give me your one storyline. Give me how it scores on your card. Let's start with you, Tin Cup.
So I did not understand this category, and I have no storyline to score.
All right, excellent. Coming through in the clutch.
I'm still not really sure what it's. Yeah, I guess I don't understand it.
So basically, I'll do mine. T-Mac, Roy McAvoy. So like mine is JT and this whole thing, and I rate it as a bogey because I hate the whole "this isn't who I am" excuse. I don't want to get onto a pedestal here, but if it wasn't who you are, you wouldn't have said it in the first place. But then, he's a good dude. He does a lot for the community with charity and everything. And it's a passionate moment. And I've said probably worse with, not millions of dollars on the line. So I give him a little bit of a reprieve. But I just hate him going to the old and tried excuse of this is not who I am. It's kind of BS cop out, I think.
Let's see how he responds. I think that's gonna speak louder than anything. Where does he go from here? Does it happen again? What do we see from JT in the coming weeks? I don't think you're going to see a suspension from the PGA Tour. I do think we may see less of JT in coming weeks. He's not playing Sony this week. That was predetermined before what happened with uttering the homophobic slur on television when he missed that putt. He's going to Dubai in 2 weeks to play a tournament over there. So I have a feeling we're going to see a lower profile in the coming weeks from JT, but let's see if there's actions to words. Let's see how he addresses this moving forward, because it's certainly going to be a storyline at the majors and the bigger tournaments when they come back around. But I agree, bogey on the card for that at best. So for me, I've got a bogey on my card this week as well. My bogey goes to Annika Sorenstam and Gary Player for accepting the Presidential Medal of Freedom a day after the riots in D.C. Listen, I get it. This is a tremendous honor, right? It's the highest civilian award that one can receive, and to be selected for the Presidential Medal of Freedom is a huge honor. There's no getting around it. To me, though, it's tone deaf with everything that was happening in the nation's capital. To go to Washington, D.C. and accept that award, both Annika Sorenstam and Gary Player just came off as, again, not really understanding their circumstances. To me, very tone deaf. I give them a bogey for accepting the Presidential Medal of Freedom this week. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us. Again, this is the Sunday Sandbagger. We'll get the episodes cut up on our YouTube channel, still in progress as well of getting the podcast rolling. Hope to do that here in the next couple weeks.
Basketball,
fellas.
baby, basketball school.
Basketball school, University of Michigan, for those who can't see the screen, what Cal is referring to. All right, gentlemen, enjoyed it as always. We'll be back next week to recap Sony and preview the start of the Florida swing.
Go Pack, go.